Hello everybody, welcome back to Marvel Rivals. In this one we're going to be going over Storm. Storm is actually a pretty cool attack hero with some supporting capabilities, so let's just jump right into her. First of all, Storm moves a little differently, so we're going to go over that first. Storm is a flying character, which means you can go in any direction you wish, and you can go up by pressing the jump button, and down by pressing the descent button. Storm's primary attack is called Windblade, launch forward piercing wind blades. This attack is actually pretty self-explanatory, dealing a decent amount of damage on its own. Just keep in mind that it's not a hit scan. It takes a while to travel over to an enemy, so it might get kind of difficult to hit a moving target from farther away. Storm's alternate fire is called Bolt Rush. Unleash a lightning bolt forward. This ability has a small charge up time before Storm unleashes a bolt of electricity, dealing a decent amount of damage to the enemy hit. Note that this attack does pierce through enemies, so you can get collaterals with it. The next ability we're going to go over is called Weather Control. Switch the weather to empower allies. Tornado grants a movement boost, Thunder grants a damage boost. This ability is always active, it's just dependent on what mode she's in. When she's next to either an ally or an enemy, you will see underneath the cursor there is a new little indicator pops up. The red number is the amount of enemies within her range. The blue is the amount of allies. You can tell she's in her wind mode when there is wind going around her. She's in her electricity mode when there is blue crackling lightning. Like the ability says, in her wind mode, Storm and any allies in her range gain a movement speed buff. This isn't a huge buff, but it's enough to make her movement a little less painful at times. The damage buff is a decent amount of damage. Note that for Storm herself, the damage buff looks like it does a lot. It does, however, it does not seem to affect time to kill at all. Her next ability ties into this ability called Goddess Boost. Channel the power of the weather to empower the storm. Tornado grants a movement boost and inflicts slow on enemies, while Thunder grants a damage boost and summons lightning to inflict damage. You can think of this ability as a power-up to her previous ability. Whatever mode she's on, you can press this button and it will empower whatever mode you're in. Like the ability said, while you're on wind, you gain a greater movement speed buff, and any enemies that are trapped in your circle will have a slow effect on it. You can tell they're slowed because they have this little black circle around them. While you're in Thunder, you can cast this ability, and it will grant you and your allies a damage buff. It will also unleash a small thunderstorm inside, dealing immediate damage after you press the button, and then tick damage every few seconds while an enemy is in your range. Keep in mind with Storm in general, is the higher you go, the smaller her range is. You can look down at the ground and physically see your range. If you get high enough, you can see that the range is completely gone. Also keep in mind that I would trust this outer circle of either electricity or wind more than that inner circle that's supposed to be what your range is. I'm not sure what that inner circle is. It doesn't really seem to do much. Storm's ultimate ability is called Omega Hurricane. Transform into a hurricane to draw in nearby enemies and deal damage. This is a pretty self-explanatory ultimate ability. You press the button and you get this little circle, kind of like Jeff, where you can place it wherever you want. Clicking the button or letting the timer run out, Storm will turn into a tornado, dealing a bunch of damage and slowly pulling in any enemies on the outer skirts of it. This actually does a decent amount of damage, where you can actually probably kill a full health tank if they're not getting healed with it. But whenever I use it, I personally just use it to try and clear out some of those backline healers, or any squishy people that might be grouped up in the back. Storm has one team-up ability with Thor called Voltaic Union. Thor infuses the Thor Force into Storm, granting her an electrifying enhancement. With an electrifying enhancement, Storm can unleash a lightning barrage. Thor doesn't have to do anything to activate his part of the ability besides existing on the team, while Storm gets access to a brand new ability. This ability has a small charge up time, just like her alternate fire, but instead of going through the enemy, it will bounce to any nearby enemy, dealing damage to anyone grouped up. To be 100% honest, in my opinion, this ability does not feel the greatest. I mean, it has a longer cooldown than her alternate fire, does less damage than her alternate fire, and is just as hard to hit. Yes, it can bounce to nearby enemies, but it doesn't bounce back or anything, so it just does a little bit of damage to everyone in a small area. And for how long of a cooldown it has, I'd expect it to do a little bit more damage. What do you guys think? Do you think this needs a buff, or is this just me being crazy? And that is everything you need to know about Storm. What do you guys think of Storm? Do you like her? She's one of my favorite attack heroes to play as of right now. And hey, if you liked the video or learned something, make sure you like and subscribe because I'm putting out more Marvel Rivals content in the coming days. Why not check out some of my other videos? But if not, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.